Welcome back, everybody, to our season wrap-up, the finale of Ms. Marvel.
Hello.
Hello, Mason's here too. It's not just me, just I could do it, don't get me wrong.
That wasn't the royal we you said there.
That's right. But there, like I said, I could definitely do this.
No, I believe
I don't
in you.
need you here, Mason,
No,
just so you know.
And I don't want to be here.
You don't even want to talk about this delightful series, Mason?
We've been trapped in this room for about 8 years now, and we've got to make hay while the sun shines or something. We're gonna take these horrible lemons that are blocking the doorway, and we've got to make lemonade with them. And so we're going to do this.
You're absolutely right. So leave a like if you could. We're going to be going through this series, including the cast, the powers that we've seen, the suit, Mason. There's different suits. Time travel. What's the deal with this type of time travel? Mm-hmm. What's the deal with all the different dimensions? The villains, the mutant thing that was just revealed. Spoiler alert, by the way. This is all spoilers. And, of course, the Brie Larson very brief cameo at the very end.
Oh, at the finale.
Just general thoughts up top, Mason. Now, you've given this a like, haven't you?
I have given this a like.
Then you can give your general thoughts now.
Oh, I'm giving this show a like.
Okay, great.
I liked it. I think it's a good fun. For me, it has a lot of the good parts of the high school Spider-Man stuff. Look, in the movies, but also just like old school Spider-Man comic books, and also Ms. Marvel comic books.
Well, that's true.
I think this series I am enjoying a lot because I like the characters in it.
And
they're well fleshed out.
Makes a big difference.
It makes a very big difference. It makes a big difference when you consider it can be a bunch of characters interacting with one another based on their various attributes and personalities, or just a bunch of people in a room saying lines at each other, just standing on an X and waiting to say some exposition. You know?
No, you're absolutely not wrong. I love the aesthetic of it in terms of like, we've got a bunch of like fun animations happening, though I do feel they kind of dropped off.
They tailed off, didn't they? Yeah.
We got a little bit of like chalk animations in the last episode, but not really. Nothing like we got in those early episodes. But
maximum betrayal is what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And there's been a lot of talk recently about the MCU and what it takes to do the special effects for that show. You've seen the threads of people talking about working on Marvel properties, and it's just an absolute chore. So it doesn't surprise me at all, and it absolutely doesn't like ruin this show at the least. But I feel like I would have liked to have seen more of that aesthetic kind of carry all the way through. That being said, Iman Vellani is amazing. Excellent casting, great find. It feels like an actor, like a Tom Holland. You cast young, and then you can kind of potentially, 20 years of this?
Up until they're 30, then cut them loose.
Cut them loose, yeah. Or they cut themselves loose because they're just like, I don't want to, I can't, and I won't.
Oh, decades of answering questions at conventions about the same thing. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's funny, energetic, believable in like her interactions with her family.
Yeah, totally.
Big fans of her family also.
Family's great, yeah. I love that whole costume. Big fan of that. Also, I just want to say, and we'll talk about costumes or hers in particular, but it seems like the Hulk costume that her dad wore and then the one that she gets at the end, there's a big difference between those two things. But then again, maybe she had more time for the Ms. Marvel
you're saying her mum made her costume. I thought she just bought it down at the shops.
Oh, maybe she did.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of those just out in the universe.
I think so, yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
generic superpowered woman. You get those ones and they can't say legally who it is. So it's just like angry green man.
Hero person attack. Yeah. But I think also, seeing the Pakistani community, even seeing, that country, and the troubles within the community, like the pressures of being part of and all of that. And then you got, law enforcement coming in, bothering them all the time and all these things often a reflection of things that have happened or are happening in the real world. I think all of that, worked really, really well. Yeah.
Yeah. A good supporting cast, as we mentioned. The family's good. Matt Lintz as Bruno. You gotta have multiple boys she can have a crush on.
He doesn't look like a Bruno. He should have a mustache.
He should have a Bruno. He should have a mustache or a blues album.
Absolutely. Yeah. He was apparently up for Spider-Man actually.
Oh, right. Okay.
So yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. But we gotta have some love interest in any given TV show.
Got a couple here, didn't we, Mason?
Well, 3.
Yes.
3.
Yeah.
We get Bruno.
Yep.
We get
Red Bandana Guy.
Red Bandana Guy.
Yeah.
And the guy the shawarma vendor.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. So Rishar and Aramis Knight, who plays Kareem.
Red bandana.
Handsome red bandana.
Yeah.
Red dagger lad. Yes.
Absolutely. Here's something that I feel you're going to be very excited about. Because we here at Whatever This Is have partnered with Omaze to give you, that's right, not me, you, the chance to win an unplugged Tesla S Apex Plaid. Not only that, you'll also be supporting a great cause, in the Juju Foundation. And it's as easy as going to omaze.com/Mr. Sunday to enter for your chance to win. Man, the things I would do if I had this car. I mean, I live an exciting life. Driving to the shops, driving to see a movie, driving to pick up my kids from school. But I can just imagine doing all of those things, but in a Tesla S Apex Plaid. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And can you imagine all the great non-profits Omaze have already worked with? Well, you don't have to, because in 2021 alone, they gave over $27 million to 131 non-profits, including Give Power, which helps supply clean water to those in need, the NSPCC, which provides 24/7 counselling support for children, and many, many more. And by many, many more, I mean the other 129 non-profits, I guess. So again, for your chance to win an unplugged Tesla S Apex Plaid, go to omaze.com/Mr. Sunday and enter now. Donations support the amazing work of the Juju Foundation. I wanted to get into the powers of this, Mason.
Okay.
The powers of this universe. Now, they swapped out the big stretchy hands for big crystal powers.
Stuff. Yeah, sure.
Stuff. That's great. That's a great way to put it.
Isn't it though? Yeah.
Some stuff happening. You look at it and you go, look at all those crystals going on. So they seemed also, and we'll talk about this more at the end, they swept aside most of the Inhuman origin at this point.
And they gave us a little fake out, like maybe her family had descended from genies, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, there's a bit of that going in there and all that. I also liked how, when she gets the powers initially, not only does she, not really sure how to use it properly, she's not great in a fight or like athletically. So she's like, even though you can like make a big fist and run up a wall using crystals, you still get out of breath and all that.
Kamala is a classic in-betweener. She's not the biggest nerd in the school, but she's not one of the cool people either.
Yeah, that's right, exactly, yeah. But of course we did see on this last episode they did the big hands, mate.
They did. That's what we wanted. We wanted some big stompy feet and some embiggened hands.
Yes. And I walked away happy. I went, great, good. Now I understand everything. And I left my house.
Wow. Yeah. Just to wander the streets?
Just to wander. That's right.
Great.
Just to think about it. Mm-hmm. It did have me wondering though, what do you think of the upper limits of her powers,
in terms of?
Well, can she make a shield and fly into space?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's going to do that in the Marvels, I bet. I mean, in fact, I think that's probably the reason.
Yeah.
A lot of people have speculated, is it because stretchy powers never look good on screen? Is it because Mr. Fantastic is going to debut soon, although he has, but like the mainline version is going to debut and we don't want to have two characters have similar powers, but I think it's because Kamala Khan's going to go into space with Captain Marvel and potentially another Marvel.
Yeah.
And that's going to be easier if they all have just sort of energy-based powers and they can fly and stuff.
Yeah, but if she was like a big rubber person, couldn't she just fill her head up with oxygen and
fill
fly
her head
into
up
space?
with oxygen? Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be what I would do.
Go to like a dive and tackle shop, get a scuba tank, and just plug it in there, and then inflate her head like a basketball, and then float into orbit.
Just big breath. Still real big breath. Right. Yeah, I also like the different incarnations of the suit, although it's not the same suit really, because at the very first episode, you've got her cosplay suit, and then you got her imagining going to the convention, and then she's got like the traditional Captain Marvel suit.
She's got a big budget Hollywood suit. Yes,
exactly. And then of course, she gets the mask during the series, and then finally she gets the suit reveal at the end, which is just, I know we talked about it, but dead on.
Looks good.
They couldn't nail that any better.
One thing that maybe is sort of endemic to a lot of these series is that sometimes the characters don't get the costume till right at the end, and maybe give somebody their suit in episode 3. So
when I saw the costume, I walked out into the street, Mason.
Go on.
Never to return. I just keep walking because that's what I wanted to see.
That's great.
And I got it. Yeah. Also, the time travel, right?
Yes.
Now, we've recently seen some time travel stuff, obviously Endgame and probably other times. Who gives a shit, Mason?
Sure.
But this time travel is different because...
They need it to be different.
Well, that and in Endgame, the time travel is you go actually to a different dimension.
Yes.
You create a branching timeline.
Well, do you go back to your original dimension, but then when you change it, you create a different branch? It doesn't matter.
There's branching timelines.
Depending on who you ask, it's always different. Sometimes the Russo brothers have said it works like this. Other times the writers have said this. Some people say that Captain America went back in time to a parallel dimension and he got married to a parallel Peggy Carter. But I say he went back to the original Peggy Carter.
No. I think the other thing, we've talked about this.
We have talked about it.
I think this, though.
It's not as fulfilling if he goes back to a parallel universe Peggy Carter.
It doesn't matter if they're exactly the same. It matters.
Wow.
Remember... Doctor Strange met like that woman he was in love with. And he's just
like close enough.
Yeah, he's like, I love you too. I love you. I love this guy.
Yeah.
I love everything.
That's right.
Yeah. But I think in this particular situation, considering the powers and the band and all that, I think this is just a locked moment in time.
Oh, you can only go back to that train station at that time.
And I think also like that you could say that she goes back to a different dimension while another Kamala Khan goes back to her dimension. But you could say it's multiple dimensions happening. But I think it's just like it's a closed loop.
So you think
it's a 12 monkeys situation.
You're saying this isn't a new form of time travel. It's the same form of time travel, but it's just a limited version.
No, it's new as in it's locked. There's no multiple dimensions. Right. No, because we have different ideas of what the other time travel is.
Yeah, no, we do. But what I'm saying is you also think that somebody might be there might be parallel universe versions of Kamala Khan.
I mean, you could say that, but I don't think it's that. It's a locked Mason.
I think what they're going to do...
It's the Ouroboros.
I think what they're probably going to do is they're going to look at videos other than ours that speak about the time travel and figure out which one seems to make the most sense and say that's how it works.
Nah, pick ours though. Pick ours and say we said it.
Yeah, just so, in the next season, I want somebody to just go, yeah, it's locked. The time travel's locked.
But speaking of dimensions and such, the Nor dimension, right? So we've dealt with like other dimensions before. We know, of course, from Doctor Strange and various other properties that there are like realities that exist separate, to the main MCU timeline where things are slightly different or wildly different depending on where you go. But I think in this situation, that dimension where all the genies or whatever are from, I think it's similar to that of like the dark dimension and the mirror dimension, as in it runs parallel to the main MCU timeline.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it.
So it's not like you're skipping over and there's another Doctor Strange or whatever's going on over there. It's just like a bunch of like genie people being like, hello, we're magic or whatever. You know?
Sure.
Yeah, you know how these things work. I suspect. But of course, the people who are from there, or some of them, the main villains of this series, and if there's one part I feel where this whole thing kind of isn't great is the villain aspect of it.
So the Netflix Marvel TV series, how many episodes were they? They were like 10 or 11 or something?
Yeah, depending. I think the first Daredevil might have been like 12 even.
Yeah, and I think the main criticism of those series was probably they were too long and there was a little bit of filler in there. And I think the problem with maybe the modern Marvel Studios TV shows is they're too short. I think they need a couple more episodes.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right, because we see the clandestine, who are the villains of this piece. They start out with like, oh, hello, Kamala, we're just like you, and we want to be your friends. And the next episode, they're like, we'll kill you. We'll kill you.
You didn't do that thing we wanted immediately, and we'll kill you. Yeah, like nothing against like how they all portrayed it and everything. All that worked, and then they were quickly dispatched. They went, let's go home to our dimension. Oh no, I'm a crystal person. You can see my bones.
Yeah. Sure.
I
had a mace or a whip or something.
Yeah, all of that. I mean, I feel like maybe if one of them had like a robot arm or a big laser eye.
Sure.
And then you'd be like, that's a villain. That's a villain I know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it's just like just a group of people.
Just a man shaking his clawed fist and going, I'll get you, Gadget.
Yeah.
You know it's a villain.
You do know it's a villain. Then, of course, we've got, like, damage control, which is fine, I guess. That, like, the ghost of Tony Stark bothering everybody still.
I'm still, like, for people who don't know, Damage Control was like a Marvel comic series, like in the 90s. And they were, as opposed to being like a government agency, they were just like a bunch of, like, schlubs who showed up in New York and fixed all the damage that all the superheroes caused in their constant.
No, they controlled all the damage.
Oh, they sure did. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I would love to see maybe like a slight alteration to their MO, and maybe they could get their own series. I think that might be fun.
Yeah, exactly. Like I like the team that we see. The lead guy. Whose name I can't remember off the top of my head. I think he's great and really funny. He's in like Succession as well. Oh. Give him a show or give him a little crew and he goes around and he bothers people. He's just bothering people all day. Yeah. I like to see that.
What are you doing? Nothing.
Give me a look at this.
I'm just a regular man. Oh, then I apologize.
But he still pushes them into a puddle. Yeah, because he's mean. Now, Mason, it's been confirmed that she is a mutant. And we know that because he's like, you've got a mutation. Did you hear that musical sting?
Yeah, that makes significance.
We should all listen to this in universe. Yeah. We know what this is.
Which is interesting because the Inhumans, Ms. Marvel is in the comic books is an Inhuman, which is a genetic offshoot of humanity, akin to the mutants, but some years ago, Marvel produced the Inhumans TV series because they did not have access to mutants.
And they said, let's make something terrible.
Let's make something really bad. But now they've got access to the mutants again. They're like, let's make Ms. Marvel a mutant.
And let's bring back
because we poisoned the concept of the Inhumans.
Yeah, well, that's right. Exactly. Yeah. They sure did. And of course, we saw one of them recently. But yeah, this feels like a big fuck Inhumans. Because I know, Ike Perlmutter, he pushed them big time because he was like...
puddle.
Yeah, that's right. Because he was like... No, he was pushing them. He was like, I want to do this because we don't have the mutants, so this is going to be our mutants. And I don't have a problem with Inhumans at all, but I feel like...
That sounds like something an Inhuman racist would say.
That is true. But I do feel like, though...
Some of my best friends are Inhumans. I mean, no, not my best friends.
Some of the people I know. Yeah, but I feel like if... Ms. Marvel was created, in a different era. She would have just been a mutant.
Absolutely,
anyway.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I think this is just kind of going back to that, really.
Yeah.
But, I still think there's a very good chance that we'll see more Inhumans, regardless. But, it's okay they've changed a bunch of this stuff for the character, and I don't think any of it really negates who she is as a person, know. So I think it's absolutely fine. And then, of course... we see Brie Larson. She's like, I'm in this room.
Sure.
I wish.
Akin to my role in the movie Room. Where I was in that room.
That's right.
Yeah.
She seemed equally startled, Mason.
Yeah.
I do kind of wish, and obviously we're going to see that in the Marvels coming up. I wish they had a scene together.
Right.
And we will.
As we approach the end of this final episode, I thought... oh, man, it'd be nice if Captain Marvel shows up and is like, good job, soldier, or whatever. But then I'm like, but it was actually what I liked best was she had just the chat with her dad on the roof. And I thought that was very nice. Thought that was a lot of fun. And then Brie Larson shows up. Now, so in the comic books, of course, there have been many Captain Marvels.
Yeah.
Some of whom are not even owned by Marvel.
I think there's 2,000, is that correct?
Yeah, there's 2,000 Captain Marvels, but the original Kree Captain Marvel was in possession of some Kree technology called the Nega Bands.
Yes.
And
that's interesting you say that. Yeah.
And so one of the sort of a long-running plot element to that character was that a human character called Rick Jones, who's kind of a long-running sidekick of many superheroes in the Marvel Universe, had an additional set of Nega Bands.
Yeah.
And when he clashed them together, they switched places. And Captain Marvel was often trapped in the negative zone.
Yeah.
And so Rick Jones would crash those bands together and they would switch places, and then Captain Marvel would do some superheroing out in the real world while Rick Jones just, ran from nightmare creatures in the negative zone, having a real bad time. Just an awful time.
Because he's a mostly regular person?
Just a regular guy most of the time. And this sort of seems to tie into that in some way.
I think that's exactly what
So
this
does that mean, are we getting a negative zone? Is that where Captain Marvel has been?
Well, we know that
What happened to her sleeves?
What happened to her?
I like that look with the short sleeves and the gloves.
I agree.
Where are the forearms? What's happened there?
Initially, when I saw her, I thought maybe is this a situation where she can shapeshift?
That's what I thought too.
Because that's what happens in the early Ms. Marvel comics. She's like, if I'm going to look like somebody else, I'm going to look like Captain Marvel. It's going to be sick.
Yeah, but then when this Captain Marvel looked around the room, she's like, oh, no, I'm in some sort of fanboy's room. I don't want to touch anything. I will not touch anything.
Yeah.
Do not shine a black light on this room.
I mean, I wonder whether the power, her swapping was something that she has internally, but I feel like she touched the other bracelet. And and she didn't put it on because otherwise she would be wearing it, and they switched.
I see.
I think I don't know. I'm just guessing. She was also off, maybe potentially investigating some kind of the 10 rings. Remember, she's like, this has got a weird signal. What's this thing? I'm gonna check it out. I reckon.
Sure, yeah.
So I think maybe it's like that kind of situation because we know obviously that she is off world. The other thing is. We see earlier in the series, one of the bracelets is on a blue arm.
Oh,
and that that could be anything.
Sure,
just a cold person, but it could be like some
member of the Blue Man Group.
That's right, exactly. But it could be. I mean, the Kree are often, sometimes, but not always.
Yeah, her original strike team, half of them were blue.
That's right, exactly. So look, we'll see all of this obviously in the Marvels, where we're getting 3 Captain Marvel type characters coming together. Do you think there's any way that we'll see original Captain Marvel? Because in the movie,
yes,
the original Captain Marvel wasn't what we suspected was the Jude Law character. Yeah, the original Captain Marvel was sort of Annette Bening, sort of, but they didn't really kind of deal with any of that.
That's true.
So I wonder whether they're going to use any of the other 2,000 Captain Marvels in the series.
I mean, they might. It wouldn't shock me if the Kree attempt to build another Captain Marvel.
All right.
Or like maybe we could replicate the experiment and we get a kind of a...
Out of like sticks and rocks and stuff.
Out of sticks and rocks and stuff. And we get just a man covered in sticks and rocks. They roll him in mud and then cover him in sticks and rocks and they go, here's your Captain Marvel. But no, I reckon maybe maybe they've recovered some of that research and then they blow up another spaceship and they're like, here we have, like a sort of US agent kind of thing. They attempt to build a better one.
We got one.
And it's worse. And maybe that's the guy. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe you're right. I also think, seeing Brie Larson return in this, I don't think we've seen enough of her in any of the MCU.
Agreed.
She's had one movie. She's sort of in Endgame, like for a little bit, which they also filmed, I think, all that stuff before they shot her movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so they were like, we don't really know what this character is at this point.
Yeah. And then we got a post-credits where presumably she and Mark Ruffalo filmed in different closets in their respective homes.
And then we got this. And I just feel like if this is going to be like a mainline character, then I'm obviously going to see that in the Marvels. You need to we need to be seeing more of this at this point, which again, they are addressing. Because even though we haven't really seen like Hulk, for example, properly, for a while, but even though he has popped up in stuff, we've seen a bunch of him prior to that.
It's true. And I don't feel some would say too much.
Some would say, because he's nude some of the time.
See his bum.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think they should, they are going to, but they need to lean more heavily into who is running the Avengers, like who's steering the ship. Like we know it's Strange and it's probably still Hulk and whatever Thor's doing, I don't really know. But, they need to kind of tie it in more, I feel like.
Like a man made of sticks.
Yes, and rocks and maybe some gum.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Anyways, if you do have any thoughts for any of this theories, I'd love to hear them. I think it did a really good job of tying into the wider universe, whereas some of the
leaks. You got any set leaks?
You got any
pictures?
Give us a look
Spoilers?
at that. Yeah, that's right. I feel like some of the movies...
Feel like risking your job for getting us some exclusives? Please do.
We don't mind.
We don't mind at all.
But like Thor we talked about recently, and I liked it quite a bit, and you didn't like it at all.
Correct.
But it didn't feel like
I liked the Screaming Goat sometimes.
I know, yeah.
I liked the priest guy, the passive-aggressive priest guy.
Yes,
great.
Played by Stephen Curry. Yes, all of that.
Stephen Curry.
We talked about it. We've got an episode in our podcast, and I put it on the YouTube channel also. But that feels like it didn't kind of lean into anything bigger. Maybe it will, whereas I feel like this did a good job of like setting up the Marvels. And I'm also like, I thought the cameo of Brie Larson was going to be like her coming in and doing like, great job. And like, that's boring and nothing and it goes nowhere.
Sure.
Whereas this, I think is a great kind of like, they wrapped up the storyline, but it opens up like a lot of storytelling potential for what's next.
And later she can say, great job.
Yeah, that's right. And they'll shake hands.
Or okay job.
Yeah, you did
this
all
was
right.
Fine.
Yeah.
A lot of those people died though. Okay.
Yeah, I dragged you through this, if I'm honest. I'm really looking forward to it. Anyways, again, thoughts, theories below. Also, don't we have a podcast, Mason?
Yes.
But what is it called?
It's called The Weekly Planet.
I wish I knew what it was called, Mason.
I've just told you, you're deaf.
Oh, if only I knew. What did you say it was called?
The Weekly
It's
Planet.
the Weekly Planet podcast, Mason.
That's correct.
You can find it on all platforms, including its own YouTube channel. Comes out every Monday where we talk movies and comics and TV shows. Obviously, we've got a big Comic-Con episode coming up, Mason.
Ooh.
That's going to be happening. So we're not doing recaps for these series weekly anymore because quite frankly, it's very difficult to do.
Yeah.
And, Collings, who edits this, was doing like one a week, and it's bone-crushing to do so. Also, I enjoy watching an episode and they're just like, thinking about it or not having to watch it immediately. They'd be like, oh my God, what if I get a theory wrong?
Absolutely. Now,
what if I put the wrong thing in a red circle?
Just to be clear, we do see all the secrets and Easter eggs. So don't think we don't. Don't think we're not doing it because we can't see the secrets and Easter eggs.
Put them below and we'll tell you whether we saw that one.
Yeah.
But we did.
We definitely did.
Yeah. Also, we have our own Patreon. It's called bigsandwich.co, where we have bonus podcasts, movie commentaries, early videos. My goodness, there's such a huge back catalog of stuff. You're practically making money if you sign up.
That's right.
You're robbing us blind, if anything.
That's right. We'll get you.
Yeah, we're going to come and find you now. Yeah. You know how I was walking out into the street?
Off to find people.
That was actually to get everybody. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. And thank you again, Colin, so much for the edit.
He's doing a great job. He's doing a bang-up job.
I agree. All right, let's get out of here, Mason.
Marvelous job.
That's great. It's a great way to end. I'm going to end like this. Do-do-do-do-do-do.